Super Sodiq Yusuff.
Hey,
What's happening?
what's up, man?
What are you
How you
cooking?
feeling?
What's happening?
Yeah, I literally just left practice, so I gotta make my food.
I
Otherwise, I won't be
listen.
able to get in time for the next one.
I don't want to disrupt you. I don't want to be an inconvenience. So I appreciate you doing this, regardless of the
Nah,
situation.
nah. Hey, it's always a pleasure to be on your show, man. I just gotta multitask a little bit.
It's all good. What are you cooking?
Oh, welcome to Cooking with Super Sadiq Yusuf.
Yes.
Today we're making some potatoes, about one medium potato and a shit ton of vegetables. It's a whole lot of nothing, Ariel. That's what it is.
Why? I mean, do you have to cut a lot of weight? Why can't you have a little hardiness, a little protein?
No, sometimes it's based off how the practice is gonna be and where we're at in camp. It's just today's not is not a good day when it comes to eating.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that probably makes doing an interview on this particular day not incredibly welcoming for you, but I appreciate you doing it nonetheless. Congrats on getting this
For sure.
opportunity. 300. I noticed a couple days ago you also mentioned you got a new contract with the UFC. So exciting times
Yeah.
for you. Are you happy with how things have turned out?
Yeah, for sure. At the beginning, I was a little worried just because things was taking so long. It took forever to get a freaking contract for this fight, and I was wondering if they was just gonna have me fight out the contract. But I'm happy. My boy, shout out to Brian Butler, man. He was able to get things done. A lot of times, managers get a lot of hate. But Brian's always done well by me. That's why I wanted to put that post up. So when things are going well, nobody knows anything's happening at all. But when things go bad, that's when people usually talk.
Yes, I saw your post. It was very nice to see, and he's obviously an OG of the management game. So great to see that gratitude being shared. Did you have a fight left, or were you going into your final fight?
That was the last one. That was the last one.
The Barbosa fight?
No.
This would have
Diego
been.
was going to be the last.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
now you don't have that worry anymore. You got a whole new deal.
Yeah.
Did you want to fight out the deal, or would you have preferred to have that security?
No, I would like because it's just less things to think about. I would like to just have it out the way.
Okay. And when you say you were getting worried, like what do you mean by that? Like you just thought that they were gonna say fight it out?
Well, no, the thing is just the unknown. I'm one of those guys that just likes to have everything planned out. If it was gonna be like a fight it out, then I'll be perfectly okay with that.
Okay.
But I would like to know like which way I'm going.
That's fair. That's fair. When you got the call about fighting on this historic card, what was your reaction?
Oh yeah, it's yes instantly, man. Man, you know how it is with me. I know you were just talking about the Apex earlier. With me, as long as you sign a paycheck at the end, I could care less. So once they said I was fighting 300, they said Diego's name. I was like, hey, whatever it is, I'll be happy to. I don't think I haven't fought in front of a crowd since pandemic actually. So this will be the first time I've been back in front of a crowd. But yeah, it's always dope. Somebody asked me about 300 a few weeks ago too. I think it's one of those the forest from the trees type of things where when I'm in it, it's hard to appreciate it. But I'm sure when it's over, I'll be able to see the bigger picture.
That's fair. And I feel like if I talk to you on the Monday after 300 and you will have fought in front of 18,000 people, it'd be like, yeah, it's kind of hard to go back to the Apex, right? It's sort of like flying first class and then go, you know what I mean? Right? You can't compare that energy.
Probably. Maybe. I won't lie to you, Ariel. If you pay me right, I'll fight in front of your grandpa's basement. So.
That's fair. And what about the matchup against Diego? Because he's been on quite a run, right? He's a fan favorite. Did you like this one?
Yeah. I didn't know a lot about him. I saw him fight Mosbar in person, but I didn't know how big of a following he has, man. Like this guy's he's a like Twitter darling. I usually get a lot of love online too. But so it's one of those things where it feels like, man, I don't want you guys fighting each other. I didn't know how big he was because he's relatively new to the UFC, but he has a whole lot of love.
Speaking of the love that you get online, I was looking yesterday, and let me know if I'm looking in the wrong places. I was looking for your breakdowns. You've not done them in a while, right?
Oh, yeah. During camp, it gets a little hard, man.
Okay.
Like it's hard during camp. So I haven't done one in about a month. Once camp starts getting rolling, I usually like wean off a little bit. But right after the fight, I'll be right back on.
Okay.
I know a lot of people been getting on you for that, but I do keep up with the Substack. The Substack's a little easier with the newsletter, so that one I stay prompt to every Wednesday.
I was literally just going to ask you about the Substack. I love first of all, you're a great writer, man. You're a very good writer, but you're also a very thoughtful writer.
Okay. I can't take all the credit for that.
Oh,
My boy Kevin helps me with the writing. So
okay.
I speak to him. I'm having a freaking brain fart on Kevin's name. He's freaking texting me right now. But I talk to him and he writes it out for me. So it's literally just him writing out my thoughts. So it's all my thoughts and then he just writes it out for me.
Okay, so you have like a ghostwriter. We call that in the business.
Yeah,
Which, by the way,
yeah, yeah.
I was trying to give you props for the writing, and now you tell me it wasn't
Yeah,
you in
yeah.
there. I was like, damn, this guy's
Hey,
good.
I try to be as authentic as possible, Ariel. So it's all my thoughts. It just helps me write it out. So it's almost like word for word what I'm saying. It's just he makes it more concise, so it's not too sporadic. Have you seen my interviews? Sometimes I can become a little bit of a rambler.
No, okay. Well, regardless of who's actually writing it, I love that you do it. Why do you feel the need to do this? Why is this important for you?
To be honest, man, shout out to your fellow Canadian. When I was a kid, GSP was my favorite fighter. And one of the things I really liked about him was his honesty, and I feel like that really helped me out in my career. GSP was one of the few fighters I used to hear talk about being scared back in the early days of fighting. Everybody else is still trying to put on the bravado as if they're superhuman. But GSP was one of those first few guys where a lot of things that he said as my career went along, I was able to resonate with it more. And I feel like that type of stuff is important for the future fighters, And even I think there's some stuff in there that even like the people, my peers, could get a good gauge of. And it wasn't until I started doing the newsletter and the Substack that I feel like I finally started having fans. Every once in a while, someone will come up to you like, "Hey, Sadiq, I'm a big fan," but they're not really a Sadiq fan; they're a UFC fan.
Mm.
So they'll like any fighter that's fighting the UFC. But since the Substack, like people have been able to connect like more individually, and it's growing slowly, but that's where I feel like I could find like my real base.
Yes, and you give people a window into your soul, and it's a really great window because the recent post on Ryan Garcia was just like I said, incredibly heartfelt and genuine and smart. And so I'd love to ask you about that because you wrote, and I would urge everyone to go check out your Substack. It's on your Twitter page. You have it up there. You talked about just like your thoughts on what was happening with Ryan Garcia. Can I ask you to expand on that? What do you see when you see Ryan acting the way he's acting over the last month or so? What are you seeing, and why does this concern you?
Yeah, for sure. So what I was saying in the newsletter is that my initial thoughts is that he's 100% doing cocaine or like some type of drugs, but even while saying that, there's always still that little bit in the back of your mind, and I'm sure it's in the back of every fighter's mind that I hope this isn't from actually fighting and I'm getting hit in the head, because no matter what, at the end of the day, this fist fighting this stuff is still dangerous. And a kid like Ryan, that's why I initially asked the question on Twitter. I was like, "Hey, was he always like this?" Because before the Tank fight, he seemed like a really like cool guy, But now he's like a very sporadic, and I selfishly want it to be drugs, because the more evidence of like you see like of fighters changing after a while in their career from being hit too much, the more that little voice in the back of your head still like, man, you're doing something crazy. You're doing something crazy. But hopefully it is drugs and he could just get off it and get back to who he was before. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with him, but I know he wasn't super sporadic. But it also looks like a little manic episode. I've had friends that develop bipolar disorder later into their age, and it could be that too. But like I said, it's just a selfish part of me
Sure.
that hope it isn't CTE.
Right. But what made this so fascinating was like you were being vulnerable and wondering like, hey, is this something that could affect me too as a fighter? Is he going through something that I may have to deal with? Is this something that worries you a lot? Potential CTE down the
Not
line?
not not a lot, but it's definitely there. One of the things too. I mean, another thing is I want to have kids. When I was growing up, I always said I would have kids when I was like 26, you know. But as life goes on, things like that kind of change. So now I start pushing the date further and further. And one of the biggest thing I want is like to be able to actually like roughhouse and play with my son, you know, like being able to be rough with him. But this career is like is wear and tear on the body. Every single fight, you come out with something else that's aching or something else that's bothering you, and that's something that I think about too. Is like, man, I hope by the time my kid is like 18, me and him can still wrestle, me and him can spar, you know, stuff like that. But it is what it is. You sacrifice for the future.
So how is the body feeling, by the way? Because last time we spoke, obviously you were dealing with some stuff. You came back in October. Now, how are you feeling?
Yeah, it's about the same, man. You know, I think now some of these injuries are just it's you have to make a lifestyle change. You know, like I took a year off because of my back, and fingers crossed it hasn't had any like really like bad like pops, but it's just one of those things that every single day you got to have your routine. You know, you have to warm up this way, otherwise practice is not going to go well. Set aside 20 minutes before practice to warm up your back to loosen everything up. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. But it's so funny when I was younger, I used to be one of those guys that would look at the older guys on the mat and be
Yeah.
like, man, let's just get started, you know?
Yeah.
But now I am one of those guys that need a freaking 20-minute routine. And funny thing is, if I had taken just 2 minutes, this is for all young athletes out there, if I had taken the 2 or 5 minutes to just do a regular warm up before most practices, a lot of injuries could have been prevented.
Damn. Do you feel like it hinders you a lot in terms of your preparation, or as long as you get those 20 minutes, you're good?
Yeah, yeah. It's just different. Everybody has their own thing, you know. It's I can't think of any fighter that's going to a fight 100%, you know. So as long as you do, do what you have to maximize your 100%. I used to always say that before too. If your 100% is you showing up to practice for, this is exaggerating, of course. If your 100% is you showing up to practice and just hitting the back for 5 minutes, maximize that 5 minutes, you know? So everybody got something that they're dealing with. You just got to maximize your 100%.
How did you handle the October fight? Because it was a big comeback for you, main event. It started off so well, and then of course,
Yeah.
Edson Barbosa is a veteran of the game. The aftermath, how was it?
It was good, man. I don't know. I posted a video with my brother calling me right after the fight. You know, and they're the ones that get like the tears. Whenever I'm in these interviews, I try to keep a smile on and keep
Yes.
it positive. So my tiny circle, those are people whose opinions really matter. So they're the ones that get the real oh man, if I feel sad, they'll get the tears. But there is a very strong circle too. So they always build me back up, you know. So I was sad for about maybe an hour.
That's it.
You know,
That's it.
yeah, yeah. Hey, man, Ariel. There's people going through real things in life, man. I'm a freaking UFC fighter chasing my dreams. I get paid relatively well, you know. So it hurts. It hurts to lose the competition, and you're sad that your career has to take a tiny step back. But you have to have a short memory with this type of things because I have to start building back. So I'm sad for a little bit, maybe an hour, maybe a day, but I got to start building back because I think I don't know if we had an interview before that fight, but that was around where the things with the Ukraine stuff was kind of like getting really big, you know. So I remember around that same fight week, I was seeing people losing their life at war, you know, that kind of stuff kind of it puts things in perspective for you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fighting in my underwear in front of a million people for money. You know, there's people going through real problems. So I deal with the emotion. Then I get around my circle. They uplift me. As long as they're there, it's hard to really feel down for that long. And my mom is really dope. You know, she's my biggest fan, so she always she always pulls me
I
back
love
in.
it. What's interesting about it is, yeah, it was a bit of a setback if you want to call it that, but here you are on UFC 300, massive card against a guy who's on a roll. Like if someone didn't see your last fight, they would think that you too are on a winning streak. It doesn't feel like the UFC views you as someone who had a
No,
setback. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. And after that fight, I had a good conversation with the with dang, I might having a freaking brain fart with Sean and
Hunter.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. With Sean and Hunter, you know, and they were very very happy with it. You know, it's one of those things where after my career is over, maybe I'll write a book or something on like every single fight. But a lot of things did go wrong. But as a fighter, it's taboo to touch on that type of stuff. So although I did lose the actual fight, I took a lot of wins from that week. You know, I took a lot of wins from the actual fight itself. So it's one of those things where the UFC was very happy with the performance too, even though it wasn't a win.
Interesting you say that because I was just talking about this last week. I asked people to come on the show and I asked them questions. No one really like volunteers information. I asked them questions. And then I see, I asked Cheeto some questions. People are like, oh, you're complaining. I asked Francis questions. Oh, you're complaining. Benoit Saint-Denis, oh, you're complaining. Is that fair? Because I see people say, oh, you're just making excuses. I'm asking you what happened. You're not saying, hey, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about that. And I feel like fighters, it's not fair, right?
I understand what you're saying, but it's one of those things where like we grow up in that culture, that's kind of what it is at the gym. You can't once you lose, to be honest, it's kind of like what Dustin said. If you win, you could talk about it.
Okay. Fair.
But once you lose, you gotta shut your mouth and deal with it, and that's it. Because on another note too, this is it also is one of those things where out of respect for your opponent, you shouldn't talk about it, because it's almost diminishing their win.
Okay.
So, at the end of it, because you don't know what your opponent came in with, Edson might have came into that fight with freaking one rib or something, So it's one of those things that even out of respect for my opponent, you gotta just let it be. You take your wins and you take your losses, and hey, it is what it is.
All right, fair enough. You have said that the internet can be a very dark place. DMs can be a very dark place. But around a year or so ago, you got a DM that changed the course of your life in a big way. Can you tell me about this DM and what it led to?
For sure, man. You know what's crazy, man? It's every once in a while I do reply to people in my DMs, and I don't know why I randomly reply to the guy, and and in these replies, as long as you're cool, you're not like a troll, I'll hold a conversation if I have the time, And through that conversation, the guy told me that he was an animator, and he was like, "Hey, I'm actually an animator, and I'm working on a project about a futuristic Nigeria." I was like, "Oh man, that's really cool. Tell me about it." Just keeping the conversation going. And he started explaining it to me. I was like, "Man, this sounds cool as hell." I was like, what's the name of the company? So he told me the company. The company turns out to be a Nigerian company that's working with Disney. So I DM'd them, I tell people all the time, especially the young athletes growing up, people don't realize how many no's you get. They don't give a fuck about the no's, You only need one good yes for it to mean something. So I DM'd the company, and it was like, hey, okay, this is our owner. DM the owner. I sent the email to the owner, and the owner turns out to be a freaking UFC fan. I was like, what? I was like, that's cool as hell. He was a Nigerian UFC fan, so I checked off all the boxes.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I was I've always been a big nerd, and I was like, I'd love to be a part of your project, no matter like how small the role is. I was like, all right, man, you can come do I think it was like 3 lines. Like you could come do 3 lines for one of the characters. So I don't know if I even got a chance. I think I did the one day of doing my roles, and then they called me back and it's like, hey, let's give you a real character. You could get 6 episodes, and it was so dope, man. A freaking Sodiq Yusuff. Now I'm a freaking Disney. I'm in a Disney show.
Yeah, and all because like you just shot your shot. No, it wasn't like an agent went out there and you just went out there.
You will be surprised, Ariel. My DMs is full of me shooting my shot at like a million different things, and yes, I get no's all the time, but it doesn't matter how many no's you get. You just need a couple yes every once in a while, If you Google my name, you always see me in random things that makes no sense, I think we were talking about the Sway interview last time I was here, because it's just if they say no, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
Hey, no, blah blah. Okay, sorry, thank you for your time, and then that's it.
And so I want to get it right. The name of the series on Disney Plus that you did, it's called is it a what?
Iwaju.
Iwaju.
Yeah, it's called Iwaju. So in my language, in Yoruba, Iwaju means like in front of you or in the future. So it's about like a futuristic Nigeria, and I played a character Sunday.
And have you ever done anything like this? Voiceover, acting, anything like that?
So the only acting I've done, I did act on HBO Hacks. See, another random thing. I'm the master of finding myself in random things, you know?
That's incredible.
I always find myself in random things. So I did the HBO hacks with Paul Felder, but that was more. It wasn't. It was more stunt work. You know, it was just us fighting, us playing ourselves. So that was really fun. And then I got the Disney thing, but I really, really liked it. And remember when I hurt my back, I told you I was trying out a bunch of stuff. I did like acting classes and stuff like that. And it's just funny that now my only two roles are with HBO and Disney.
Yeah.
Hey, it's straight to the top.
Yes. There's no Apex like gigs there. You're competing with the big boys.
Yeah, straight to the top. Hopefully, I get something else in the future because I really liked it, man. It was really fun.
Was it tough?
No, not at all, man. Listen, I fight people in my underwear.
That's true.
For a living, you know. Even when I was in the acting classes, like people would be getting nervous and stuff like that. I feel like I've kind of like broken my nervous meter. And to go on a tangent, rambling again, I was having a conversation with my fiance, and she was like, "Hey, when I walk down the aisle, are you gonna cry?" And I didn't, I try to be honest, because I don't want to disappoint. I'm like, come on, like. You know the type of lifestyle I live. If I don't cry, please don't be disappointed. I was like, I think I broke all of like the butterflies and the nervous stuff in my body a long time ago.
Does anything make you cry?
Man, just not. I don't think I've cried about anything happy in a while. Like it has to be like really, really sad. But we're not here to bump down the mood, Ariel.
Okay, sorry. All right, I'm just curious. I like to see the layers to people. Can I ask? Speaking of uplifting the mood, you did a great thing donating a lot of equipment to some locals in Nigeria. Can you tell me about that? And so, is that something you're doing on your own or with a bigger group?
For sure. No. I've always been doing it on my own. It's one of those things where I've been doing this since I turned pro. Like that, the money exchange from here to Nigeria is a lot different, you know?
Yeah.
So when I turned pro and I was making like little chicken change every once in a while, my sister that still lives there, she will I'll send her money and she will either like cook and give out food or like give out items and stuff like that. So it was this last, I think 2 trips ago when I went to Nigeria, Brian, my manager, and my coach said, "Man, you got to start publicizing this stuff because you never know who could help you." But it's one of those things where it's silly. I understand it's silly now, but in my mind, I was always like, if I start sharing it, it will look fake. It will look like it's not authentic. But so this last time, I went out of my way to make sure I recorded it and posted it because I was trying to start a nonprofit. So I'm filing all the nonprofit stuff right now. So in the future, when people see stuff like that, they could at least know like, hey, let me help out Sodiq Yusuff.
Wow. And where is this in Nigeria that you do this?
This is those guys are in Ikorodu, but it's not far from where I grew up in Lagos, but it's just a small team that I've been supporting them since forever. There is a local boxing group and I send them money or I send them gear, but my real goal is to try to get it as big as possible to where like they could have a permanent place to train. Right now they just train like in the open field. Wow. And they get in where they could fit in. But it's one of those things where I don't even care if it's necessarily boxing or martial arts. It's just giving people things to do. Idle mind is the devil's playground, so as long as you have something positive to do, it makes a big difference.
When you see someone like Francis, who I know is from Cameroon, but obviously from Africa.
Man, what? You don't have to say it. Like that's cool as shit, man. I saw him. I saw Themba. Like, stuff like that means the world, It's like, what's the point of us being able to do what we're doing if we can't inspire other people, So that's as cool as it gets right there, man. Those guys, I have a lot of respect for what they're doing for their people.
It's amazing, man. You're such an inspiration. I know you said that, DMs are a dark place and fighters can get shit sometimes, but I feel like you get a lot of love. I feel like a lot of people support you and are rooting for you.
I won't lie. I honestly, I think I do get a lot of love. I feel like the only people that shit on me or like that send like nasty comments or stuff are people that never interacted with me, and like they've never like gotten to see my attitude, so they only know me from my fighting style, and my fighting style is kind of barbaric, you know. You know, I look like a mean tough guy, you know. So if they only see me fight, they'll think like, okay, it's a typical MMA thing. And funny enough, I just replied to somebody on Twitter yesterday. The bar for being an MMA fighter is so low. When people find out you're just a normal person, it's like, man, that guy's cool as shit, you know. So it is what it is.
Man, you are something else. I love your energy. I really do. And I love your outlook and the way you want to inspire people and the writing, whether it's you or not, it's all from your mind, everything that you're doing. And even that thing on Disney Plus, like when I saw that story, you know, you could say, I've been trying to get you on here for a while and you keep pushing me off. You're playing hard to get on me because I want more of you on the, you know, on people's minds because there's enough crap and enough negativity and enough, I would say, poor role models being highlighted. We need more people like you with your energy in not only this sport, but in this world.
I appreciate it, man. And I told you before, my manager says that all the time, man. It's just I got to get out of my little bubble and start doing more interviews. But yeah, sorry, Ariel.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. You made me beg for it, so I appreciate that. Good luck. Good luck with the soup. Good luck with the fight on April 13th and with everything else that you're doing. Is there going to be, last thing, is there going to be another season of this show on Disney Plus? Like, is there something in the works?
So no, so it was a limited time series, but hey, you never know. You guys run the numbers up, you know, because it's been doing very, very well. The Rotten Tomato scores are great and the viewership is great. You never know. They might invite us back. And if anybody out there want to put Super Sodiq Yusuff in another role, man, I'm always open for it.
I love it. Tonight with my daughter, I'm going to show her that. We haven't seen it yet. She's 7. I'm going to say I know that guy. What episode are you in?
I'm in episode from episode 2 on. So they show my character in the first episode, but I don't have any lines. So from episode 2 on, I have lines in every single episode.
I love it, man. I love it. Congratulations on all of that, and good luck on April 13th. Thank you for coming on, and congrats on the new contract as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, there he is. Super Sodiq Yusuff. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.